Hi, Lindsay.
Hi.
Is it okay if we go through these cards? The purpose of the cards is really so that you can lay your life out, if you like, with the cards and help you get in touch with some of the things that have held you back in your life. Now, it might mean that some of these cards you're aware of, some of the words that you're aware of, and it might be that you're not aware of it. But the purpose of it is to raise your awareness. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. So the first thing I'd like to do is ask you to look at these emotions. So we've got anger, sadness, fear, guilt, hurt and anxiety. Is it fair to say that you've experienced one or more of those emotions in your life?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because some of these are what we call stimulant emotions and some are suppressant. So anger, fear and anxiety, they're stimulant emotions and they tend to either aggress ourselves because we can direct these emotions ourselves, or we can aggress others, so they kind of bring us out. Sadness, guilt and hurt, they're suppressant emotions. They tend to take us on an inward journey. Does that make sense? To where we start to hurt ourselves. Now, anxiety is a bit of a different emotion because anxiety is about worrying about the future, worrying about what might happen or what might not happen. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay, so what I'd like you to do is, I'm just going to move these over here. What I'd like you to do is just go through these. Now, we call these themes. Now, themes are areas of your life where you've gathered these emotions, yeah? I'd like you to just go through these themes and pull out the words that you've experienced, yeah?
Do you want me to relate it to these cards?
No, because what each word that's there will have all of those emotions connect to it in varying degrees.
Okay.
So where you felt those emotions, yeah?
I'll keep the ones that I relate to here.
Okay.
Two here.
Okay. Just move those ones out of the way. Okay, so I'm just going to lay these. What I'd like you to do is group these together,
Okay.
because you'll know on the inside what's connected to what. And do you notice that I don't have your answers, Emmy, here? I'm not suggesting anything to you. Just putting all of these things out yourself. So if you could cluster those in which ones are connected to which, yeah? Thank you. So now that you've picked these out, would you say that you were aware of all of these or not? If you hadn't looked at these words, would you have realised that you were holding all of this or not?
Probably not, no.
No, because what we've done is we've dissociated you from your experience. Does that make sense?
It does.
And so when we dissociate from an experience, it becomes easier to acknowledge it. And sometimes when we imagine someone else experiencing something, if it touches us, that's generally because it's touching something on the inside that we're holding. Okay, what I'd like you to do next is have a look at these distractions, and just pull out any distractions that you have that's going on in your life. Okay, let's move those ones. Now we call these distractions because, as far as we're concerned, these are as a result of what you've experienced in your life. Now, I don't know if you've recognised that when we have these distractions, it's simply to avoid these things. And something like alcohol or drugs, with Spectrum Transition Coaching, we never focus on the alcohol or the drugs because we understand that people use it to self-medicate. Would you say that that's fair to say?
Yeah.
That you use it to avoid something? Would you say that that's
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Yeah, because what happens quite often when people are going off to sleep, for example, it's when we start getting into a relaxed space, and that's where our mind starts to talk to us and starts to, some memories or thoughts that come in that are too uncomfortable. Would you say that that's true or not true for you?
I'd say that's true.
Yeah, okay. Can you have a look at these ones and pull out the ones that relate to your journey? Thank you. I just also want to say that it's not unusual for people to pull out a number of cards because life is life, right? And people say it's just life and we get up and we move on and we think positive. But all the while we're getting older, we're accumulating these, and these are layers of life and experience, and some are positive and some aren't so, but we're never interested in the happy events, if you like, because they're never going to get in the way of your happiness. Some people have often said to us, why is it you focus on the negative things? Well, if we want to get happiness, we have to embrace some of these things for the purposes of changing them, and raising your awareness around it is a key part of that journey.
Well, that makes sense.
Okay. So we call these symptoms simply because they're a result of all of these that you've experienced in your life, yeah? And quite often, when we change the emotional connection, because each one of these words holds these emotions in varying degrees, when we peel back the layer of those onions, if you like, deconstruct these life experiences, some of these things naturally start to fall away automatically. The dependency on some of these distractions, they start to fall away automatically once we start to change those layers of experience. So if we look at here, I know you've picked out depression and PTSD. For us, PTSD is like it's reached a point where you've just taken on too much in life, so you're too emotionally full. Some people might attach to words like stress or worried, pressure, fear. They might not necessarily pick out these words, but for us, anything that anyone experiences is driven by our emotions. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is have a look at these behaviours. So when you feel these emotions around this area of your life, what is it that you do? What are the behaviours? You can move some of these. Okay, let's just move those ones out of the way. So you don't need to answer any of these questions, but is it fair to say that leading up to the depression, leading up to alcohol, that there were some significant things going on in your world at the time?
Yeah.
Now, with Spectrum, we're different in that when we come to the change element of this, because at the moment we're just raising your awareness around things, when we come to the change element of it, what you'll notice is we don't need to dig into the detail of any of your experiences. We don't need to know about the bullying. We don't need to know about the content of your memories of jealousy. We don't need to look at abuse. We don't need any of that, because what we find is if we spend a lot of time talking about it, all that does is get you in touch with the feelings. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
So once we've started the journey of change, which we would do after this, it keeps you in a space where you don't have to you touch it in a way that allows you to connect to it, but not at a deep enough level. And quite often after we've done the change, that's the time when talking can be appropriate, because you get little light bulb moments, and you get some learnings from it. Okay. And also, what we're looking for as well when we do change is spectrum is measured. When you make some changes, some of these behaviours will start to disappear. You might not withdraw so much. You might find that you argue less. You might find that you are less tearful. This is what we find as you go on the journey of taking these out of your nervous system. So when you're feeling those things around those areas of your life, what do you believe about yourself? What we're building up here, really, Emmy, is a complete picture of your nervous system.
Okay.
Yeah. Wonderful, thank you. Okay. So the process now is that we would take you into a private space, obviously, and we would go to the furthest back memories. So, for example, if someone's picked out mum or dad, we would take you back to those earliest places, because that's where we learn how to do things. They teach us how to be fearful. They teach us how to argue. They teach us all of these things. So what we want to do is take you the furthest back so we can pull the neurology out at the root, if you like, and then work forward. So, for example, some people might say that work's a problem for them, and when we ask them how work is a problem for them, what we call that is the map. It's the most recent sort of reminder of the emotions that you're feeling. And what we'll do is we'll ask you some questions and ask you, how is it a problem for you? And quite often what we find is it takes them back. They might say, well, there's a person at work that I don't like. We might say, well, who does they remind you of? And they'll say, well, the person that used to bully me at school. Does that make sense?
It does.
So it's like an emotional reminder of something that you've experienced. So by taking you back to the earlier experiences, make sure that we can change your neurological connection to those past ones. So if you're okay to, what we will do is pull out the ones that we feel have had the most significant impact in the earlier parts of your life, and then take you forward to change your connection to that. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.